This is Paul Newman, and if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live...
Hello everybody, and welcome to yet another personal video on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. As always, it is much appreciated. Well, we had a very interesting classic outcome yesterday out in Germany with the Bramato sire Newman landing the German Oaks, thrown away by Classic Watch 25. It was a horse I was always with. It won the Group 3 Price to Winter Königin last year, proving itself to be up there in the decent German echelons of the two-year-old fillies. This year the form hasn't quite been there, and as I looked at the pedigree to do the horse's video a week before the race, there was just nothing there. You know, the sire, Bramato, from the family of Monson, deserves immense credit for taking out that German classic. As a result of that, Newman was passed on in favour of two horses for the German Oaks that didn't really do any good whatsoever. But I think if people take a look at the site, they will see that that is one of very few mistakes that I have made. However, it was a mistake, and I hold my hands up to it. Newman was never should have been looked at in the first place. It's fair to say. Should never have got my hopes up with the horse. The pedigree was never there. It was out of the stakes winner. It won first time out. And the stallion is a fan. I'm a fan of the stallion, you see, but you know, it was only half a horse when people took a look at the horse. Unfortunately, it was sad to see that the two I did decide to move forward with in the German Oaks didn't really figure on the day. Right, this video I think is actually quite important. It's the Southern Hemisphere Classic Watch 2025 review. For those of you that do not know, the Australian season or the Southern Hemisphere season, New Zealand and other areas as well, the Australian racing operates on a different calendar to most of the other racing that starts on January the 1st of the racing year and ends on December the 31st, rather like the traditional calendar. The Australian racing is actually different. Their season starts on the 1st of August and ends on the 31st of July, which means really that it's time to move on to Classic Watch 26, where the Australian horses are concerned. But before we can do that, we need to take a look at Classic Watch 25 and review the site quickly. Well, as long as it takes, really. And the way we do that is we take a look at all the horses identified on the site. For this instance, it will be the Australian themed horses on the site will be the ones we will be taking a look at. And we take a look at their form throughout the season, how they've done throughout the season, and then, most importantly, whether I deem the horse a success or a failure at the end of the season. We can do that now, like I said, with the Australian horses as their 2025 Classic Watch season has finished. So that is what we are going to do in this video, I think. But before we do that, I will give you a chance to see where these horses are. ClassicWatch25.great/site.net is where people will be able to find the horses. Classic Watch 25 might be done for the purposes of Australia, but it is still very much in vogue for the vast majority of the rest of the world. I think the US horses are finished as well. We might be able to review them a bit earlier to take the weight off the load as well before... Well, the season hasn't finished, though, you see. That's the thing. So we'll wait until the end of the year to do the rest. The Southern Hemisphere horses, Australia just in Classic Watch 25, will be the ones that will be reviewed in this video. So, like I said, people can see the horses for the rest of the season at classicwatch25.great/site.net. Right, and what we're going to see, if people look at that site, they will see, the first thing they will see is the Roll of Honour on the site, which has now been updated to include all the Australian horses throughout the season. All their wins on the site have been included on the Roll of Honour. So it is now slowly but surely starting to be updated. The two-year-old races were back. There was one there in the 9th month of 2023, which was the first horse identified the winner of the Group 3 Jim Crack Stakes, which was Manal. A month's time, really, that race. So we could be taking a look at some Classic Watch 25 horses quite soon, really. We've had last year's Gym Crack has obviously taken place. We've done one Classic Watch 26 possibles video at the moment just to launch the channel. But when I go through the list of possibles and we will see, they start to tell me in what races the horses are being entered for, then it will be possible to maybe get some Classic Watch 26 Australian horses on the site. Another couple of things I need to touch on before we start taking a look at the horse. So I've also attempting this year to try and include New Zealand and South Africa in the Southern Hemisphere racing for the first time in the Classic Watch series. New Zealand and South African horses are being watched. There's also Argentina, who starts their year a month earlier on the 1st of July of the year. But again, the Argentinian horses seemed to swerve me last year. I was planning on including Argentina on the Classic Watch 26 site as well, but haven't really got any horses as of yet. So as it stands at the minute, that will be the 2-year-olds again will be watched in Argentina this coming season, with a view to maybe putting them on the next iteration of the site if it continues. So basically, we've got all the Roll of Honour with all the Australian horses on it, and the win of all the horses that are on the site. All the listed races they won prior to being identified are also on the site. But there are a lot of classics not included on the site that have been taken out by horses on the site. If that makes any sense, I'm sure it makes perfect sense, really. So where people can find the horses in certain theatres, they will see that they're all lined up here. The Australian horses, Japanese trained horses, USA trained horses, UK trained horses, Irish trained horses, the French trained horses, and last but not least, the German trained horses. It is, of course, the Australian trained horses that we are interested in today. And if people click on the Australian flag, they will be taken to the Australian trained horses page, which basically tells people a little bit about the horses identified and then embeds the horse video onto the website. You know, all these videos are found on my own personal YouTube channel, this channel here, at some point, and it's just a way of me collating the ones that I need onto the specific pages to enable people to look at the horses I suggest for the Australian Classics. The Australian Classic horses for 2025, we had 5 of them. As we'll scroll through them now and see, and then we will take a look at the form, how they got on. The first one was the 3-year-old filly Manal, sired by Tassort out of a dam called Red Lodge, bred by Emirates Park Property Limited, trained by Michael Friedman and owned by the Emirates Park Syndicate. The second horse was Broadsiding, a 3-year-old colt sired by Too Darn Hot out of a dam called Speedway. The horse was bred by Godolphin Australia, trained by James Cummings and owned by Godolphin. The third horse on the site was another 3-year-old colt, Traffic Warden, a horse sired by Street Boss out of a dam called Efficiently, another one bred by Godolphin Australia, trained by James Cummings and owned by Godolphin. The fourth horse on the list was Zaitung, a 3-year-old filly, sired by Exceed and Excel out of a dam called News Story. The horse was bred by Godolphin Australia, trained by James Cummings and owned by Godolphin. And last but not least, the 3-year-old filly Lady Shenandoah, sired by Snitzel out of a dam called Star Pupil, horse bred by Arrowfield Pastoral Property Limited and Planet Thoroughbreds, trained by Chris Waller and owned by the Hermitage Syndicate. So just the 5 horses from Australia last year. In Classic Watch 24, we had no horses even ran in Classics on Classic Watch 24 in Australia, yet alone won one. So for Classic Watch 25, it is fair to say that the benchmark was rather low. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the horses on the Australian resource RaceNet. We're then also going to take a look at on the UK resource, the Racing Post, just so people can see what Racing Post ratings these horses have been running to throughout the season. We'll take a look at the form, the prize money, that sort of thing, and then I will give an appraisal of the performances of the horse last season, and then we should be in a position to end the video at some point. So without further ado, let's get cracking. The first horse we're going to take a look at is Manal. Like I said, Manal had an interesting season, it's fair to say. She managed to win only the one race in the season, really. Her career record is now 12 wins, 12 races, 4 wins, a second and 2 thirds. So 7 of her 12 starts are in the first 3. You will see there that she was in the first 3 twice last season. Third, that's what we're looking at really. Third, first, third, and then 9th, 5th and 5th in her last 3 runs. You'll see the seasons have reset back to nothing as the season is underway. Manal still showing a return on investment of 140% thus far. She's won 33% of her races and been placed in 58% of them. And her career earnings are now $1,549,950 Australian dollars. You see there, she's nominated for a trial on August the 7th, a group trial. So Manal, again, might be out quite early in her 4-year-old campaign. I won't be saying whether I will be following these or not following them in this video. That will be done in a different Southern Hemisphere video where I'll review all the horses, not just the Classic Watch ones. This is just personally how they got on in Classics and whether I think they're a success. So you'll see that Manal has won 4 of her 12 races. Don't know why that's come up. We're going to take a look at her now. On the Racing Post, you'll see that her career best Racing Post rating is still the 114 she ran to as a 2-year-old when she beat Traffic Warden by a nose in the 2024 English Sire Stakes over 7 furlongs. She was then 4th behind Broadside at 2, and at 3 her form did start to look quite interesting. She managed to win the Group 2 2024 Furious Stakes, a race that wasn't rated by the Racing Post. She was actually third in another 2 races behind Autumn Glow and Amina, the horse that she beat. But in her 3 runs at Group 1 level this year, she finished 9th, 5th and 5th, beaten 3 times by Lady Shenandoah. Unfortunately for herself, they were in the Light Thinking Stakes, and the horse also ran in the Surround Stakes and the Coolmore Classic, the filly for older age horses as well. As 3-year-old fillies, you'll see the horse has merely campaigned up to between 6 and 7 furlongs last season. I don't think connections were entirely sure that she stayed out the mile at any case. And as a consequence of that, Manal was another one that never ran in any classics whatsoever. She won the Group 3 Gym Crack on debut there, as we saw. She beat Fly in a Group 2 at Randwick over 6 furlongs, and she also won a Group 1 over 7 furlongs last season and over 6 furlongs this season at 3 at Group 2. But again, you hear people, if they're being ultra critical of the horse, Manal was a horse that never ran in any classics whatsoever. So it's, regarding a Classic Watch site, very difficult to call this horse a success, isn't it? Manal, despite her Group 2 victory over 6 furlongs. The next horse we're going to take a look at is Broadsiding. Broadsiding had an interesting season where he managed to add 3 more runs to his race roll of honour. 3 more victories. Broadsiding's record now is 15 races in his career, 7 wins, 1 second and 3 thirds, for prize money of $3,923,975 Australian dollars. You'll see that Broadsiding's return on investment is around 18%. The horse not as profitable as Manal, but the horse has been running more consistently at a much higher level than Manal. It's fair to say for trainer Jason Cummins. In fact, this horse is a classic winner. But again, you will see that the ratings of the horse Broadsiding are pretty much what they were, sadly, at 2. The horse's best form at 2, a rating of 115, when he gained by beating Bitter Creek 4 3/4 lengths in the 2024 Group 1 JJ Adkins Plate. He also ran to marks of 113 and 114 when winning at Ranwick and Eagle Farm, showing himself to be a very consistent colt. It's fair to say, in fact, the horse won his last 4 races last season. He took that to 5 in succession with a victory in September as well in the Group 1 Golden Rose at Rose Hill, where he beat Traffic Warden by a short head, improving his rating by 1 to a rating of 116. The horse then ran in October 2024 the Caulfield Guineas, where the horse could only finish 4th, beaten by Private Life, running to a mark of 107. It was then back against the old horses for the rest of the early campaign before Christmas. The horse broadside was actually 3rd in the Cox Plate, beaten 10 lengths by Via Sestina, and the horse was also 10th in the VRC Champions Mile for 3-year-old and olders as well, where the horse was 10th out of 11, beaten by Mr. Brightside, running to marks of 87 and 95. It was in fact when the horse was put back to 3-year-olds only, the horse did manage to get some more victories. The horse won the Group 2 Hobartville Stakes in February 2025, beating Swift Falcon by a length, again running to a Racing Post rating of 116. The horse was then 2nd in another classic, 2nd in the Ranwick Guineas for 3-year-olds in March 2025. The horse was 2nd of 8, beaten by Linebacker, odds on again, when the horse again ran to a Racing Post rating of 115. It was then finally that the horse got the classic win it deserved over 1 mile 2 furlongs at Rose Hill, again in March 2025, where the horse won the Rose Hill Guineas, or a race over 10 furlongs for 3-year-olds, beating Aliana, a subsequent classic winner by a neck, again running to a Racing Post rating of 116, which seems to be the best of this horse. And then the horse ended the campaign in April 2025 with a run over 7 furlongs at Ranwick in the All-Age Stakes, where the horse finished 10th, beaten 4.5 lengths by Jimmy Star, running to a mark of 102. This horse will always divide opinion. People will say it had a disappointing season. You know, they will say they will point to the horse's odds-on defeats in classics and say this horse was quite a disappointing horse. You know, it was beaten odds-on twice in classics. But it did manage to win one towards the end of the season at Rose Hill, went up to 10 furlongs, and winning another 2 pattern races at Group 1 level and Group 2 level. So disappointing. Impossible, really, to call this horse broadside in a complete failure when the horse has won a classic for Classic Watch 25, but the horse could have won a lot more if the horse was bomb-proof. It was looking pretty bomb-proof when it won its last 4 starts at 2, but unfortunately it proved the horse wasn't at 3 and 4. Classic winner, also Run for the Rose winner, Golden Rose winner also, over 7 furlongs. Impossible to call the horse a failure. Group 1 and dual Group 1 and Group 2 winner, winning classic horse broadsided, a Racing Post rating top figure of 116. The next horse we're going to take a look at, the 3rd on the list, Traffic Warden. Traffic Warden, to me, had a disappointing season. I never thought at one stage that the horse was campaigned how I would have liked. After winning his first start, the horse was only seen 5 times last season, compared to 7 times as a 2-year-old. And the horse took his record to 12 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, and a third. 7 out of 12 in the first 3. For earnings of $1,227,200 Australian dollars. The return of investment on this horse, Traffic Warden, is 23% currently. So the horse is a profitable horse. But to me, like I said, just wasn't campaigned how I would have liked it to campaign. You see there, a good solid 2-year-old campaign where the horse got 7 furlongs, a winning Group 2-year-old. Group 2-year-old 2-year-old winner over 7 furlongs. The horse did start as a sprinter at 5.5, 5 furlongs, and 5.5 furlongs. But to me, the horse just wasn't a sprinter when I looked at the pedigree of it. That 7 furlong run beaten a short head by broadsiding, to me, would be the key race in that. Yeah, it was just very disappointing the way the horse ended up. It didn't really do itself any favours. It was entered in the Everest even, and was pulled out due to being unruly in the stalls. But it never improved. It did improve. Never improved on its best 2-year-old rating of 119, which it gained when being beaten by Manal. But the horse did win in March 2024 the Group 2 Size Produce Stakes, beating Rue de Royale, running to a mark of 107. A rating really that blew out of the water. You see, the horse has been winning at good prices, 4-1, 7-1. When it won the Group 2 in September 2024, the Run to the Rose Group 2, by a short head, the horse equalled its best 2-year-old form, running to a Racing Post rating of 119. And then the horse ran to 115 behind Broadsiding in the Golden Rose. It was then really after that the horse was never given a classic campaign, disappointingly to me. Returned back to 6 furlongs, 5 furlongs and 6 furlongs to contest 3 Group 1 races. The horse contested the Coolmore Stud Stakes at Flemington, 10th of 14 behind Switzerland. The horse then was dropped to 5 furlongs in February to contest the Black Caviar Lightning against his elders, where the horse finished 5th of 10 there, beaten 3.5 lengths by Skybird. And then the horse was a 30-1 shot at the end of the season, 6 furlongs at Ranwick in the TJ Smith Stakes, where the horse could only finish 12 out of 13, beaten by Briassa. But the horse did scrape a Racing Post rating of 100 in both those races, 106 and 101. But yeah, I do think the horse was a lot more solid at 2 than it was at 3. They got it on the track a hell of a lot more. I think also the horse Traffic Warden may have been gelded now. I'm not 100% sure. It's still saying it's a stallion, actually, on both RaceNet and the Racing Post. So that is good enough for me. It'd be interesting to see where they campaign this horse at 4, Traffic Warden. There's going to be a bit of a shake-up at Godolphin this year in Australia. Trainer James Cummings has gone to train in Hong Kong. And I think Godolphin are just going to sort of try and use the best trainer available model in Australia. They just want their horses in more yards, I should imagine, to get the inside track on these yards. But yeah, so good luck to James Cummings, where as he begins his new training adventure in Hong Kong, you have to say that the guy has been an absolute genius training these Godolphin horses for me since I started back in around 2019, 2020. And it'll be disappointing to see him go, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to them moving forward. But again, for a horse that never ran in a classic, it's very disappointing, really, and very difficult to call Traffic Warden anything else but a failure regarding Classic Watch 25. The next horse we're going to take a look at, Zai Tung, had a very disappointing season, it turned out. She only managed to win the one race that we identified her in. That was only a Group 3 race, and it wasn't even over a classic trip. This 3-year-old mare, Zai Tung, has taken her record to 15 wins, 3 wins, a second and a third. 20% victory, 47% place, and the horse has now won 357,575 Australian dollars. I mean, when this horse won, Zai Tung, it won at Group 3 level. I was hoping it would turn in to a Guineas horse, a classic horse. In fact, it did run in a classic, but the horse was beaten. The horse was 5th, I think. It might have even been 6th. And then after the break, in the second half of the season, the best the horse could manage was 2 more placed efforts where the horse finished 3rd. So again, this horse has to go down as a bit of a failure. We will look at the horse on the Racing Post. You'll see the horse did win in November 2024. It won the Group 3 Tab Vanity over 7 furlongs, running to a mark of 104. Not the best rating the horse achieved. The best rating the horse achieved was the 107 it gained when finishing 3rd in the 2015 Hawkesbury Guineas, which we don't include. Only a Group 3 race. The horse finished 3rd in that race, beaten 1.5 lengths by Media World. That was the best one of the season, 107. There's the classic one where 6th of 13, beaten by another Prophet in the 2024 Schweppes 1000 Guineas at Coalfield, where the horse ran to a mark of 103. Couple more solid runs of 104 there. 3rd out of 7 behind Enriched in a listed race at Randwick. And then 5th out of 10 behind She's Got Pizzazz in a Group 3 at Randwick as well, 104. Before her best rating, 107, gained when placed in the Group 3 Hawkesbury Guineas. And she ended her campaign 12th of 16 behind Melody again in a handicap at Scone, the Dart Jewel Classic, a Group 3 handicap on the 17th of May 2025. She was running over a mile and 7 furlongs towards the end of the season, just a case, really, of her not being good enough. But she did manage to win a Group 3 pattern race over 7 furlongs to get her on the site, so she is a pattern winner. And she has also been placed once at Group 2 level as well, as a listed and Group 3 placed effort. So Group 2 placed, listed Group 3 winner, and a listed placed as well. But yeah, the horse fell in a classic. The horse didn't fall in a classic. Sorry, the horse ran in a classic. It ran in 2 if you count the Hawkesbury Guineas, which is a Group 3, and we don't. So that is the one that really exposed the horse back in November 2024 in the Schweppes Guineas, 6 out of 13. So again, this horse has to be considered a failure. Do you know, people will note also that the return of investment on Zeiton is minus 26%. The horse is the only one who is showing a negative outcome if people would have followed the horse this season. So without any shadow of a doubt, Zeiton has to be classed as a failure. Now, last but not least, Lady Shenandoah has gone from strength to strength, really, in her season. Lady Shenandoah has won her last 5 races in her career. The horse has never finished out of the first 3, taking her record to 7 victories, 5 wins, a second and a third. At the end of her 3-year-old campaign, a return of investment of 106%. The Snitzel-sired Lady Shenandoah, again, 71% victories and 100% placed efforts. This horse, arguably, again, is going to be out early. It's another one that's entered in that group trial, the same as Manal this year. So we know that Lady Shenandoah and Manal are both still in training. The others we're not sure about at the moment. Lady Shenandoah took her prize money to $1,804,500 Australian dollars at the end of her season. Very interesting campaign, Lady Shenandoah. Finished 3rd and 2nd in her first 2 runs, both behind Clean Energy at maiden and listed level. But it was then when she went on a bit of a tear, really. She beat Mayfair by a neck at handicap level in the Group 3 Ming Dynasty Quality, where she ran to a mark of 93 that day, winning by a neck. She then improved to a mark of 108 when she won her first Group 1 race. She won the Flight Stakes over a mile, beating Harlem Queen by 3.5 lengths, running to a mark of 108. And again, total improvement in her last 3 starts. Dropped back down to 6 furlongs in a Group 2 in February, where she won the Group 2 Light Finger Stakes, beating Lady of Camelot by a length and a quarter, running to a mark of 117. It was then she was still yet to run in a classic at 3 in March, when she took out the Group 1 Surround Stakes as well at Randwick, beating again Lady of Camelot by a neck, running to a Racing Post rating of 120. So it was one of them where, again, I thought maybe, despite winning 4 races in succession, she would not even attempt a classic. And then on her last one of the season, she went for the Coolmore Classic against her olders. Group 1 handicap race, Group 3-year-old fillies and mares. It's got the word classic in the title, which is good enough for us. Over 7.5 furlongs, and she managed to win. She defeated Firestorm by a short's head, running to a Racing Post rating of 120. Now, this race is the only all-age classic we're going to include in Australia, to go with the Irish and the French St. Leger in Europe that are also available for elder horses. This race over a lot less, 7.5 furlongs, but it has got a record of being a classic, really. Some nice horses have run in it. So it is a race we will include for our 3-year-olds moving forward. So we have to declare Lady Shenandoah really as a classic winner for taking out the Coolmore Classic. Just a shame that she never went for any of the other classics, instead focusing on races at less than a mile, races like the Light Fingered Stakes and the Surround. But her Racing Post rating of 120 was a £17 improvement on the 2 runs she had. That's a 2-year-old at Warwick Farm and Doomben. So this one has actually progressed very nicely from ages 2 to 3. And really, for a horse so lightly raced, 7 races and 5 victories, Lady Shenandoah really has to go down as a complete success, leading into a 4-year-old campaign. Yeah, very nice horse, Lady Shenandoah, it's fair to say. So, where does that leave the site overall? I think really Classic Watch 25 has improved from Classic Watch 24. Classic Watch 24 never really got a horse in a Classic, yet alone won one. Classic Watch 25, the horses are turning up in Classics a lot more, even if they're not winning. So the right horses are being put on the site, which I don't think necessarily was the case on a Classic Watch 24 the first year we did Australian horses, but this year it's very much clear that the horses are turning up in Classics, and 2 of them, the Colt Broadside In and the filly Lady Shenandoah, have proved to be good enough to win them. You know, so 2 Classic winners on Classic Watch 25, one of them against the 3-year-olds only, and one of them against the 3-year-old and elder fillies. Broadside In winning the Rosehill Guineas over 10 furlongs, and Lady Shenandoah winning the All-Age Classic over 7.5 furlongs. So yeah, I think I'm in a position now to wrap this video up. I think that is the finishing of the Southern Hemisphere review of Classic Watch 25. Like I said, only the one area on Classic Watch 25 in the Southern Hemisphere. If and when we get to review Classic Watch 26, I'm hoping there will be 3. I'm hoping to add South Africa and New Zealand to the list this year. Classic Watch 26, well, hopefully we'll have some horses on it as soon as I go through my possibles list and see where they will be entered, what guineas they will be running. You'll see the sort of guineas there in October and November. So there is a couple of months left for some trials and for them all to sort themselves out before they decide what will run in the guineas, and that is, I should imagine, is when I will pounce and start to put some horses on Classic Watch 26. The site has been created. I will show you the state of the site now. It definitely has been created. I did it myself, and hopefully there it comes in now. You'll see it's just really a placeholder at the moment. You'll see welcome to Classic Watch 26, and it's just got the placeholders on it for the links for 22, 23, 24 and 25. And Reprieve Media CIC Racing. That way people will not miss any of the action if they land on Classic Watch 26. The sharers have already been put onto the site. The site was actually made on the 25th of February 2025, 6 months ago. Yeah, so we've all been well in control so far. One Classic Watch 26 possible exists on the personal YouTube channel. So far, so good. I think with Classic Watch 26, long way to go yet. It is fair to say. But regarding Classic Watch 25, I think we can end this video here now. Thank you very much to everybody for taking the time to watch the video. As always, it is very much appreciated. I think the Southern Hemisphere horses did quite well on Classic Watch 25. Just a shame there wasn't any from any other theatres. New Zealand, South Africa, like I said, hoping to be introduced into Classic Watch 26. At some point, if the horses are there and they run in Classics, they will be there. If the pedigree is good enough and they are colts or mares, we will never bring geldings to you on Classic Watch. That is another thing worth saying. So what I will do, as I end this video, is I will give you an opportunity for those who have watched this video without subscribing to the channel. I will give you an opportunity to subscribe to the channel if you wish. That way you will not miss any more content moving forward. Classic Watch 26 possibles, Classic Watch 25 possibles, might even be a National Hunt video. Who knows what to expect on my own personal YouTube channel. And what I will also include is a playlist to the Classic Watch 25, all the reviews that have taken place so far. I think there's 7 so far, and this will be the first theatre review video to take place on that playlist the Southern Hemisphere playlist, obviously around, hopefully, touch wood, in the early stages of January 2025. There will be some sort of a Northern Hemisphere review done at some point. But obviously, we've got a few more months of the season and a few classics still to run yet. We're at the middle distance classics have been well and truly run. We've got the ledgers to come now in Japan, Ireland, France, and the UK, really. The German St. Ledger isn't a Group 1, and there's other races as well that we're not going to include in play races like in Germany and Italy, another place in Europe where there is still currently no Group 1 races going on. But yeah, hopefully come towards the end of January 25, there will be, well, obviously we can review the European horses at around November time when their season finishes, after the Breeders' Cup time, really. But we do like to wait in case they go to Hong Kong, really, in December. So it'll probably be in early January we take a look at them. But for now, I think I can definitely leave this video here. What have we got coming up this week? Well, not a lot, really. I'm hoping for a quiet week this week. It was a classic week last week with the German Oaks, and I'm looking for a nice quiet week this week. Not many classics on the horizon at this point. I think we might be able till like July. We're in August and September now ahead of the St. Ledger trials. Like I said, we will be keeping abreast of them and still trying to get horses on site for a Classic Watch 25. Put 2 new horses on the site this week for the German Oaks. So there still will be horses appearing on Classic Watch 25 ahead of the St. Ledger. But I will thank you all for watching this video here now. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Look after yourselves and your loved ones as well. I hope to be back shortly at some point, moving forward, to continue posting videos on my own personal YouTube channel. But for now, that's it. Take care of this video. That's it in this video, shall I regard. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Enjoy the weekend upcoming and take care. Goodbye.